What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Titans Time Podcast, your Tennessee Titans podcast for the Pigskin Podcast Network. I'm your host, Tyler Staggs, and got a great show planned for you. Like always, come on. Um, but been seeing some things on Twitter over the last couple of weeks. Of course, we had the mandatory mini camp for all teams, and saw some people tweeting out, is Derrick Henry still the best running back in the NFL, or has someone else taken that crown? And obviously, Titans fan, even putting bias aside here, when you look at Derrick Henry and everything he's done over the last couple of years, he's coming back this year from his first major injury. And without a doubt, I say yes, he is still the best running back in the NFL. No debate about it. In my opinion. But, there's other guys that people throw out there. You have people who say Christian McCaffrey, when he's healthy, he's the best. You have people who say Nick Chubb, he's the best. People that say Jonathan Taylor. I'm sure Cowboys fans would say Ezekiel Elliott, even though he doesn't even belong in the top 5 right now, I believe. But, and I want to say nothing against these other running backs. These other running backs are really good, and I'll give them their praise when we talk about each one of these guys. But still, I don't think anyone has proven that they are able to take that crown away from Derrick Henry when he's out there on the field healthy. I just don't think that they can touch what he does. But before we get into all that, I have to tell you how you can support the show. First thing, if you're listening to the audio version of the show, whether it be on Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcast, make sure you're following the podcast. I really appreciate that. Also, make sure you leave that 5-star rating. It helps the podcast out a lot, boost us up so more people can find the show, more people can listen to the show, possibly become fans, and leave some comments, questions. Love getting that interaction, hearing from the fans of the show, seeing what they think of the show, how it can be improved, or things that y'all may want to know about. Again, love that interaction. The YouTube video for this episode will be out in a couple of days, maybe tomorrow. Tonight's Saturday night. So maybe it'll be up on Sunday. And go check us out on YouTube. All you got to do, type in Titans Time Podcast. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Trying to hit anywhere between 800 and 1,000 subscribers before the end of this year. And I appreciate everyone who subscribes to the channel. When the video's up, go leave a like on the video, share the video out. Let's get more people involved in seeing it. I want to see everyone's opinion on this. If you think Jonathan Taylor's the best running back, tell me in the comments when this video goes up. Let me know your reasons for thinking he's the best. We can talk about it. If you think Christian McCaffrey's the best, same thing. Colts fans, Panthers fans, Browns fans, Cowboys fans, even, y'all come and tell me why you think that your running back is the best in the league. And we can go back and forth talking about it, having a friendly debate. I love that interaction. I really do. Another way you can support the podcast is go checking me out on social media. On Twitter, you can find me at Titans_time, Instagram, Titans Time Podcast, and Facebook, Titans Time. Now, to start diving into this list of guys that I've mentioned, first thing we'll do is we'll hit on the Cowboys and Ezekiel Elliott. And I know Cowboys fans still think, Zeke's got it, but he's been over the last couple of years splitting carries with Pollard. And Pollard is a guy who I think he's very explosive. And there's times where I feel like he almost brings a little bit more to the Cowboys than Zeke does. Of course, Zeke coming into the league, it was feed Zeke, feed him, feed him. And he had a year where he 2 years where I'd say that he was, right there up near the top. If he wasn't maybe the top guy, he was right there in the top 5. But you look at the last couple of years, he's under 250 carries, barely hitting 1,000 yards, not doing much in the receiving game. I mean, there's just not much. He doesn't have that same pop that he had when he came into the league. I mean, you go back and look at his rookie year, he came in, carried the ball 322 times, had over 1,600 yards rushing, 15 touchdowns. I mean, really looking back at last year, he had 10 touchdowns. Derrick Henry had that before he got injured and was out for the rest of the season. He had that by like week 9. So in 17 games, that's all Ezekiel Elliott was able to get. Now, like I said, Pollard, he's been taking some carries away from Zeke. He got some of those touchdowns, but it's hard to think that some people can still possibly throw Ezekiel Elliott in their top 5 when he's really not putting up top 5 numbers, let alone, I mean, he's not putting up best running back in the NFL numbers. So I wanted to start with him because he is the least likely guy out of this bunch that I think should be involved in the conversation for best running back in the league. Now, the next guy I want to hit on, and Panthers fans, don't come from my head here. I when Christian McCaffrey came into the league, I, I've been a big fan of him. Still been a big fan of him, but you look at the last couple of years, the guy just hasn't been available to go the last couple of years. I mean, in 2020, only played 3 games before getting hurt, and in 2021, he played 7 games, had 442 yards rushing and 343 receiving. Now, Panthers fans, one thing I will give you is when Christian McCaffrey is healthy, when he's healthy now, he is probably the most complete in today's game, the most complete running back. He can come out of the backfield, catch the ball, get the yards after the catch. He can run. I mean, he's going to be shifty, make guys miss, but I mean, again, the last 2 seasons, you have to start. He's been out with injuries, and you have to start wondering if, okay, maybe he's a little injury prone. Maybe he can't do this. It's going to be interesting to see what happens this year when he comes back. Will he be able to stay healthy for the whole year, or will he be out more? And as far as running the ball, he's had a couple of good seasons. Back in 2019, he had a little over, just under 1,400 rushing yards, and also put up over 1,000 receiving yards. And I mean, that's really good numbers there. But and I know when you compare him to Derrick Henry, people are going to be like, "Well, look at how much Derrick Henry runs the ball. How many times he touches the ball." Well, you look back at 2019, McCaffrey ran the ball 287 times and he caught 116 passes. So, he's closing in on touching the ball over 400 times. And people talk about Derrick Henry's carries, this last year before he got hurt. Oh, he was on pace for 400 carries this season. Okay. I have no doubt that the King can handle that. It's one of those things where, yes, he got injured. Injuries happen in the NFL. And it just so happens that with the Titans, injuries happened a lot last year. So, like I said, McCaffrey, I threw him on this list next because I I have to see if he can stay healthy this season. When he is healthy, yes, I would consider him a top 5 running back in the league, but again, he's not in that top 3, I don't believe right now. I definitely not in the top two. And you'll see as I'm going through this list, I'm going from guys who, aren't that close to a couple of guys who are a little bit closer and could possibly give the king a run for his money. I'm going to respect these guys' games and give you my honest opinion on them. And that, like I said, the biggest thing is seeing if McCaffrey can come back healthy this year and actually stay healthy. 2 seasons in a row, he's been out. If he makes it 3 in a row, then you know you can't trust him there to throw him in that top 5. And I know, just looking at it from a fantasy football perspective, if you're still taking Christian McCaffrey number 1 overall in your drafts, PPR league, I, I don't know what to tell you. He's because unfortunately the injuries happen. Never wish injuries on any player, but he's went out the last 2 seasons and kind of left you high and dry there. So not his fault. Bad luck of the draw, but still. Now the next guy that I want to hit on, and this is where some fans, especially Browns fans, want to throw this guy at the top. And don't get me wrong, this guy's a hard runner. He can run over guys, he can make guys miss. He has great speed. And his running style, just when he's in the backfield before the snap, I don't recall in all the football that I've watched, I can't remember a running back that stands straight up like he does. And that's Nick Chubb. And Chubb, again, he's a great runner. I've went back and forth with Browns fans before. And yes, he's good at getting yards after the contact, breaking tackles, but the King's a little bit better. And like I said, Chubb, I have to give him respect because a lot of running backs, you see them, they're squatted down just a little bit in the backfield, ready to explode, and Chubb is standing straight up. And from that standing straight up position, he has the explosiveness to get that quick first step, get the ball, and get gone. And looking back at Chubb's last couple of seasons, going back to 2019, I mean, put up over just under 1,500 yards. Then 2020 only played 12 games, had a little over 1,000 yards. 2021 played 14 out of 17 games and finished with a little over 1,200 yards. So, yes, he has the ability. And looking at his yards per carry or yards per attempt every year, the guy's averaging over 5 yards a carry. One thing that attributes to that is how good his offensive line is. I mean, the Browns have had a good offensive line for a couple of years now, really 3 or 4 years. And that really helps a running back out when they have a good offensive line, because if guys aren't hitting you until you're already 5 yards up the field, then yeah, you're going to average 5 yards a carry. And still, Browns fans, I've been down this road before, arguing back and forth about Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry. Nick Chubb is a great running back. I truly believe that. If I'm going on off my list, I would put Nick Chubb as probably the third best running back in the league. And that's where I have him. I can't put him any higher because the Browns have also brought in Kareem Hunt, and Kareem Hunt has took some of those carries away from Nick Chubb. And you have he even the last 2 seasons, I mean, hasn't been a full season. 2020, 4 games shy. 2021, 3 games shy of a full season. So, it's hard for me to throw him any higher on this list. They brought in Kareem Hunt because they knew, hey, Chubb may not be available some weeks. So we have to have another good runner in here to take some of the load off of him. And, looking back at last year, he had 228 rushing attempts and he caught 20 passes. So he didn't touch the ball that much. And again, that's where the Kareem Hunt factor comes in. So that's why, again, I'll give Nick Chubb top 3, but and I like watching him. I like watching him run the ball. I think he's a hard runner. I give him my respect, but I can't see him climbing that mountaintop and being the best running back in the NFL right now. I know Derrick Henry, he's coming back from injury, as I mentioned, but he's coming to reclaim his throne. I mean, he's coming to reclaim that rushing title, coming back to show people I'm the best back in the league. There's no doubt about it. And that's just the way it's going to be. Now, before I talk about the last guy before Derrick Henry, this seems like a good time to hop into the best bets segment presented by DraftKings. And DraftKings always has great offers out there for especially new customers and existing customers. But right now, for new customers, there's no better time to sign up because the pursuit for the Stanley Cup is on, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, has an unbelievable offer for the most exciting playoffs in sport. New customers can bet $5 on any team to win and get $100 in free bets no matter what. Whether the team wins or loses, you get that $100 in free bets. Now, if you're looking to turn a small bet into a bigger payday during the playoffs, well, DraftKings has same game parlays, and you can do just that. You can create your own parlay by combining multiple bets like which team will win, how many goals will be scored, and more. And it's your shot at an even bigger payout. I myself, I like those parlays. Parlay a couple things together, put in a little bit smaller bet, still get that big payday. Little risk, high reward. That's my kind of betting right there. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Simple. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code TPPN. Bet $5 on any NHL team to win and get $100 in free bets no matter what. That's promo code TPPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See the show details for more on all of this. And my best bet, because I don't know much about hockey, so I'm not definitely not going to give any advice there. And this is not betting advice. This is just a bet that I look at. I think, okay, I would feel good putting my money on that. So let's roll with it. And looking at ahead to the NFL and the futures, the awards for comeback player of the year. Just to name off the top 5 players right now in odds, you have Derrick Henry, Jameis Winston, Michael Thomas, Christian McCaffrey, and Daniel Jones. My money would be on Derrick Henry to win comeback player of the year. The odds right now on that are plus 300. So, if you want to throw a little money on that right now, I would get in on it because once he comes back week 1 and starts running all over everybody, those odds are going to go down to where the payday wouldn't even be as big as it would now. But I think Derrick Henry is going to come back. He'll end up winning comeback player of the year. And yeah, that's my best bet for this week. Now, I want to get into one more running back before talking about Derrick Henry. And this is the guy who, even though he's in the AFC South, on a rival team, I have to give the guy props. He's fun to watch run the ball, except for when it's against the Titans, and then I don't want him to get a single yard. And he's a guy who, after Derrick Henry retires, this will be the guy who slides into that spot of best running back in the league if he's able to stay healthy. And that guy is Jonathan Taylor. He was able, with Derrick Henry being out for the second half of the year, Jonathan Taylor was able to come in, win the rushing title last year. And I really don't want to hear too much about people talking about how many carries Derrick Henry gets, this and that. So, Jonathan Taylor, looking back at his rookie year, 232 carries, a little over 1,100 yards, 11 touchdowns, caught 36 passes for right at 300 yards. So, he's a guy who can be a little bit of that dual threat. He can go out, catch passes, and just the patience that he has running the ball. That's one thing that I will give him over Derrick Henry is more of the shiftiness at the line of scrimmage. Derrick Henry is more of, okay, he's going to get his legs churning, break through the line of scrimmage, he's gone. Jonathan Taylor, where I give him a little bit of the edge, is he takes his time getting up to the line of scrimmage, and he'll just kind of bounce around behind his offensive lineman, look for an opening. When he sees the opening, he takes off. And I hate giving the Colts props on anything, but they have a good one in Jonathan Taylor. And there were a couple of times last year where the run game was working for them. They went away from it and ended up losing the game because they went away from Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is one of those running backs where when he starts hitting his groove, keep handing that man the ball because he is going to make things happen for your team. And I say he's the second best running back in the NFL right now. With the King coming back, Jonathan Taylor is securely in that number 2 spot. I believe that. I think that he has a bright future as long as he, again, no injuries. I think he can take over the league after Derrick Henry is retired. But he's not taking that throne when Derrick Henry is healthy. This last year, 332 carries, over 1,800 yards, 40 catches for 360 yards. So even with another game and just a couple less carries, he still wasn't able to hit the 2,000-yard mark that Derrick Henry hit back in 2020 in just 16 games. So, I still have to give this edge to Derrick Henry, but I want Colts fans to know, like, hey, like I've said, you've got a good one up there. I like watching this guy play when it's not against the Titans. And I think he's a great running back. I'm excited to see what he can do in his third year. I really am. So now, though, we will transition to the guy that is, without a doubt, still the best running back in the league, and that's Derrick Henry. People want to talk about, and I've mentioned this a couple of times, his carries. Oh, well, he gets so many more carries than anyone else. Okay, the Titans are wearing him down. Derrick Henry really hasn't been the workhorse running back for this team that long. Really, if you look at it, there's only been 4 years where he's had over 200 rushing attempts. Going back to 2018, 215 for a little over 1,000 rushing yards. 2019, 303 attempts for over 1,500 yards. 2020, 378 for 2,027 yards. And then last year, through just 8 games, yes, he had 219 attempts, but he was almost at 1,000 yards through 8 games and already had 10 touchdowns. So halfway through the season, he already had 10 touchdowns. If it wasn't for the foot injury, if he was healthy all year long, he probably would have broke 20 touchdowns last year. And yes, he may have broke 400 carries for the season, but I think he would have had back-to-back 2,000-yard seasons. And it's not like he's only averaging 3 yards a carry, 3.5 yards a carry. No, throughout his whole career, he's averaging almost 5 yards a carry. So, and that's with him not having as good of an offensive line as Jonathan Taylor and Nick Chubb. A lot of Titans fans have said it. If you gave Derrick Henry the Colts O-line from the last couple of years or the Browns O-line from the last couple of years, Derrick Henry may be hitting 2,400 rushing yards in a season because a lot of the times Jonathan Taylor and Nick Chubb aren't getting touched till they're already 5 yards up the field. If they're getting touched then. Derrick Henry, he faces the most stacked boxes of any running back in the league. And this next year, he's probably going to see even more because everyone knows that A.J. Brown is gone now. And the Titans have some question marks at wide receiver. We know that Robert Woods is coming back from an ACL injury. We're still waiting to see what's going to happen with Treylon Burks. So defenses, they're looking at this right now like, okay, we can hone in more on Derrick Henry. We need to stop him. That has been every team's game plan since 2019 is stop Derrick Henry and you have a very good chance of beating the Titans. And that's it. Look at the stacked boxes. That's why Derrick Henry has more carries, really. If he wasn't facing stacked boxes, I can't remember the exact stat, but when he goes against boxes that aren't stacked, he averages like 5.5, 6 yards a carry. So if teams didn't stack the box at all, there's no telling how many rushing yards he would end up with in a season. But no, teams game plan to stop Derrick Henry. Now, talk about the injury. Again, this is the first major injury of his career. He's had a whole offseason to let that foot heal up more. If you watch his workout videos, see him running uphill, making cuts off of that foot going uphill. The foot looks good to me. Like, I'm not worried about it. Henry says you shouldn't be worried about it. It's ready to go. He's 100% healthy. And he's letting all the haters really motivate him. He's ready to come back and show everybody, hey, I'm still the king around here. Don't count me out. That rushing title's mine. Best running back in the league title's mine. I'm leading this team. Try and stop me if you can. And I think for the next couple of years, Derrick Henry will still sit atop the NFL as the best running back. He's the most pure running back at 6'3", 6'4", 240, 250, however big he actually is. People don't want to tackle him. His style is wearing the defense down, making it just hitting them and hitting them and hitting them. And then all of a sudden, when it gets late in the game, he takes it over because nobody wants to hit him anymore. I mean, you look at him compared to other running backs, he just towers over them. He's the same size as some defensive ends in the NFL. I wouldn't want to get in his way and tackle him. And I think the league, all the teams, especially on the Titans schedule, should be put on notice. Derrick Henry's coming back, and he's not happy. He has some unfinished business, and he's going to take care of his business. So, again, my top 3 running backs in the league, just my opinion on this: Derrick Henry at 1, Jonathan Taylor at 2, Nick Chubb at 3. If Christian McCaffrey is healthy, I'll give him top 5. I'm not going to say whether he's 4 or 5. And Ezekiel Elliott, I'm not throwing him in the top 5. Just the way it is. But like I said, if you're a fan of some of these other teams, you think that your running back is the best in the NFL, leave me a comment. Let me know why you think that running back is the best. We can go back and forth, debate on it a little bit. I love that interaction. I want to get your thoughts, your opinions on this. Share the video out. Let's get more people's opinions. The more, the better. Leave a like when this video goes up. Again, if you go watch the video on YouTube, if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Trying to hit 800 to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. If you're listening to the audio version, make sure you're following Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcast, leaving that 5-star rating, leaving comments, questions. I truly appreciate everyone who supports the show, is a fan of the show, and it means a lot to me. That's going to be all that I have for this show. This has been Titans Time, and as always, tighten up.